Hi friends, in this video we are learning data annotations and how to perform client-side validation using data annotations. So let's start with what is data annotations. Data annotations are attributes you can find in System.ComponentModel.DataAnnotation namespace, and these attributes provides client-side validation. And we have 4 to 5 type of data annotation attributes, and first is the required attribute, which is to validate whether the user has provided the value or not. Range attribute we basically use with the age property to give the maximum and the minimum range of the age. Suppose you want to include people with the range 20 to 60 age, so you can provide minimum and the maximum value 20 and 60. And max length and min length checks the length of the string value provided, like first name or last name. That means it verifies first name cannot be more than 20 letters or 60 letters, or cannot be less than 6 letters or 10 letters. Regular expression we basically use it to validate email IDs, and string length is similar to max length and min length, and it works similar to max length and min length. And we are also going to see how validation summary works with data annotations. Now the client side validation errors we can show using validation summary, and validation summary helper displays an unordered list of validation errors in the model state dictionary. Now to show how data annotation works on client side, we need to have a form. So our form is basically ready. We have a login model, a login class with the properties first name, last name, age, city, email and password. We have a view that contains all the properties. We have a submit and reset button. We have a controller methods placed, and let's try and run this simple form without data annotation validations. So this is the form how it looks like, and if you fill the details here, so we'll put email, password, city, and submit the form. So it submits the form. If you go back, reset it, and then again submit the form, it again submits the form even if you don't provide any values. So that basically shows there are no validations applied. So let's start with data annotation validations. And data annotation validations attributes will use at the model level. We'll apply it to the login class. Now to leverage the attributes of data annotation, we need to include reference in our class, that is using System.ComponentModel.DataAnnotations. This will allow us to use the data annotation properties. Now let's start with the basic property that is required, and we'll apply this property to the first name. We have just included the property above the first name property, and let's try to run the application. Now without entering any values, just submit the form. It again posted the form successfully. That is because we have not checked the model state at the controller level. So what we want to do here is we want to check if model state, as we are applying data annotation at model level, so we need to check model state is valid. Model state actually gets all the validation errors. If it is valid, then only we are going to return the view which is associated with the submit login details. Otherwise we will return the other view, the same from where we have posted the data, and we'll use the overload of view method which accepts the name of the view as well. So our view name is login, and we'll pass the object model object with errors. So now let's run the application. We attach a debugger here. Same way, we are not providing any details and enter the submit. When it comes to this method, model state is not valid as we have applied required attribute to the first name, so it goes to the else part. It returns a view, and you can see a red mark on the text box. Now the first question could be, there are no how we can show the error message. Now to show the error message, as mentioned earlier, we can make use of validation summary. So basically validation summary displays all the errors present in the model state. So we can add a new div. Inside the div we can use we use validation summary. Now let's run the application. Now I click the submit button. Now you can see the first name text box is marked red, and you can also see the message, the first name field is required. Now this message is displayed using the validation summary. Now if you check the view source page, then you can see here this is the validation summary. It applies the class which shows it in the red color, and it creates a list of the errors. Currently we have only one, so it displays only one li tag, and it creates a UL, that is unordered list of errors. Now this is the default message we get when we don't give the first name property. Now we can customize this message as well, and let us try and customize our message. Now the required attribute provides us a way to give message as well. So here we have error message attribute that accepts a string. Now we can say that is first name is needed or mandatory. Now we run the application. Click the submit button. Now you can see the message has changed. Its first name is needed or mandatory. So this is how the required attribute works. Now let us go through the other attributes as well. Currently I am closing the application. Now our next property to be explored is max length. Now suppose we want our first name to be less than 20 letters. I mean, we don't want user to exceed 20 or 30 letters. So we can use max length property which accepts int length, means it accepts the maximum number of length. So we say it's 20 and we are also displaying error message saying first name cannot exceed 20 letters. Now let's run the application. On clicking the submit, it gives us the first name is needed or mandatory. Now we give the first name as hello. Now the validation is passed and it posted data to the other view. Now let us give a name which is more than 20 letters. I'm typing anything which is more than 20 letters. Now it is more than 20 letters, and if we submit it, it gives first name cannot exceed 20 letters. So this is how the max length works, and these two same properties we can use for last name. And we can say last name is needed or mandatory, and last name cannot exceed 20 letters. Now we are done with the two properties. For age we can use required, as it's a basic property, so we can say age is mandatory. Now here we have one more property which we can use with the age. That is the range property. Now sometimes application want user to enter the age between some range, that is 20 to 60 or 20 to 40. So in that case the range property helps us a lot. So we add a range. It accepts minimum. Double minimum means the minimum value from the range, let us take it as 20, and maximum we take as 40. And we can also pass the error message telling age should be between 20 and 40. So let us check how age property works for us, or range property works for us. Now we say submit. So it says age should be between 20 and 40. It takes 0 by default. So let us enter age between 20 and 40. We enter 25. Now the message disappears as the validation results out to be true. Now if we give age more than 40, let us give 41. It again gives us the error, age should be between 20 and 40. So this is basically the range property. And the next we have a string length property, which is basically works similar to max length and min length property. Now let us see how it works. Again, for city we can add required property saying city is needed, and we use string length property which accepts the maximum length, sorry. So let us say maximum length is 16, comma. Now we can add the minimum length as well. Now the down right you can see there's a minimum length equal to int. So minimum length you can add is 4, comma, then you can provide error message as city length should be between 4 and 16. Now if you have noticed, you can see it string length is combination of max length and min length. That is, here max length you have gave the max length, here you gave the min length. So it basically combines both the properties. Now let's test the city property. We give city name with 3 letters, DDD, suppose. We click submit. Now it says city length should be between 4 and 16. Now if we give something 6 letters, now the error message disappears as validation results out to be true. So this is what string length property is. Now let us see another property which is tightly associated with email. For email as well we can use the most basic property that is required. We can say email is needed. Now with email we always require the format of email to be checked. Now data annotation provides us with attribute that is regular expression. We can define regular expression for our email and we can check the format of email is according to our regular expression or not. I have regular expression already made for it, so I'll be using this regular expression. So our regular expression is placed well, and let us run the application again. Now if I don't give any email ID, it will show email is needed. If I give email ID which is something like this, so it gives the error email format is not correct. Now suppose if I give kkk@gmail.com, now if I submit, the error is disappear as it is the validation for require and the regular expression both are paused, so I'm not getting any validation error. So this is how the regular expression works. Now for password we can always use require attribute. We use require attribute and we can use string length or we can use max length and min length. We already use max length, we already use string length, so let us use max length and min length. This is max length and we say password cannot exceed 20 letters. This is min length. Min length we say password cannot less than 6 letters. Now let us see how data annotation work for password. Submit the form. It will say, oh, we have used, I guess, wait a minute, for password actually we wrote email, so let us change it to identify it better. Now I submit the form. It says password is needed, so let me enter the password, which is less than 6 letters. This is 5 letters, and I submit. It says password cannot be less than 6 letters, and if I give password which meets the validation, the error message disappears. So this is how data annotation works for password as well. So we have covered all the properties, data annotation attributes, and I'm left with one more thing. Now as you can see, we are displaying all the error messages using validation summary at the top of the form. Now if you check the page source, you can see all the errors in the list format in the unordered list. So if a user wants the error message just in front of that field, that is first name, and you want the error message just in front of that, you can do that, and I'm just gonna show you how you can do that. And now razor syntax provides us with one more helper, that is add html dot validation message for, and it accepts an expression saying for which property you want to show the validation message. I say for first name. So what happens is, run the application. Now you submit the form with blank. Now it says first name is needed or mandatory over here as well. Now this is basically, we added the validation summary, and this is because we have used an validation message for helper. So now what we can do is we stop the application, we comment this for a moment, or for 2 minutes, and we add this line to each and every tr or property, you can say. This is for last name, this is for age, for email, for password, and for city. Now let's try and run the application and see what happens. I again submit the form. Now see, the validation summary errors have been disappeared as we have commented the validation summary, and you can see each and every error just in the front of that field. So you can also customize the position where you want to see the messages. Now one more thing you can do here is, instead of giving error message at the model level or property level, you can provide error message here as well. saying first name is required, required, and at the model level just remove this error message for require. Here we are saying just that error first name is required. We are not giving any error message, and we are giving the error message at the view level, that is first name is required. Now let's try this. Submit the form. Now it says first name is required. This message comes from the view level. So this is another thing you can do. You can define your message at the view using the helper validation message for, and you can do this with any other property. So this is basically what was and what is our agenda for today, and we have seen how data annotation works and how validation summary supports data annotations to see the validation errors on the form. So our tutorial ends here. Thank you.